The Floor Academy podcast is sponsored by Trelama, the trade labor marketplace, where businesses can find skilled trade labor, such as flooring installers, and where flooring installers and other skilled tradespeople can find permanent or project work. You can set up your profile at trelama.com, TRALAMA.com, or download the app from the Apple App Store or Google Play. And remember, Trelama is always free for skilled tradespeople. Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hedin, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Phoenix, Arizona. We're here talking with flooring professionals from all over the world about the issues that matter to you. This week's guest is Barry Doveston. Barry runs Flooring-U-Cation in Cape Town, South Africa. Their mission is to educate consumers and installers alike about proper installation techniques and differences in products. In Barry's own words, many laborers will steal with their eyes and call themselves an installer the next week. His goal is to bring top-notch installation techniques to South Africa along with proper product knowledge. Listen in to hear how similar our situations are and how we can help him out. Barry Doveston, are you on the line?
Hey, Carl. Yes, I am. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Sure. Well, I've got a glass of wine next to me. I don't even know if I can talk about that, but it's 6 o'clock, going on 7 o'clock on this side in the evening. And I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. I had my first international guest a while back with a guy from New Zealand, and so now we are coming to you from South Africa, which is super exciting. I'm loving meeting people from all over the world doing this and seeing what they're about and trying to do in the industry in their area. This one was fun because honestly, I had shared, I shared one of my podcasts, and you had shared that podcast, and I was like, all right, I've got to find out more about this Flooring-U-Cation page. And so that's where this came from. And so I reached out and we've kind of chatted, and I'll let you get into all of that. But I think what you're trying to do is amazing for the industry there. So let's have you introduce yourself and give us a little background on how you got involved with flooring and where you're trying to take it. But I'm definitely jealous of the glass of wine. It's 9 a.m. here, and I've got an estimate to go do a little after this, so none for me until at least after 12.
Yeah, no, hours. Sorry for you, but lucky for me. Also, to help me calm my nerves.
Nah, you'll be all right. Two floor guys having a chat. Why shouldn't there be a little alcohol involved?
Gee whiz, we can talk shop for hours, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Anyway. All right. Well, I'm Barry Doveston from Flooring-U-Cation here down in Cape Town, South Africa. And I think basically I fell into the flooring industry. I studied industrial design, and then I bounced around the world for 3 years. And I went up to the UK and I worked as a carpenter on that side. And I did a little bit of flooring just because it was the job to do. And when I came back to South Africa, somebody needed some done. And I kind of just started installing floors left, right, and center and just carried on. So I've worked as a unschooled installer pretty much all my life. And I've kind of worked my way through the ranks because I'm quite a energetic and creative guy, and drink too much Red Bull, that's for sure. And I'm just excited and I'm passionate about the industry. And here in South Africa, we don't really have any formal educational or institutions that can take you through the ranks, or I think what you call like a journeyman or an apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there's so much opportunity. We've got this fantastic population that needs skills and they need opportunity. And with flooring being my passion, I just know that if we can impart some of these skills and get people excited about this industry, we can really elevate it. We can really make a difference. And hey, it starts with one crazy fool. and trying to create a conversation, trying to rally a crowd. And Flooring Africa is pretty much that. I know I don't know too much about creating videos and things like that, but I started a YouTube channel and just throwing things together. And I still film everything on my iPhone. And basically, it's just more educational awareness, exploring product, and how to discern a quality installation, somebody who's done something correctly with passion and attention to detail, and also the products that can really service our market. And I love exploring product and skill set. And I would like to rally a crowd, and that's what I call the Plank Squad.
Okay.
Hashtag Plank Squad. And yeah, I've just, Flooring Africa is a bit of it's been a side project, but it's growing into pretty much a main project, in that there's really an opportunity to make a difference. And when I heard your podcast with that gentleman in New Zealand, I was just like, wow, you guys are talking about all the things that are going on with us. They're a little bit different, but it's like, same, but different. And I think like if we could rally together these people who are passionate about the industry, the trade, want to uplift it, to better it, like it's always easier if you rally a crowd than to try and do it yourself.
Yes.
So, I saw you and your campaign. I thought, man, this guy's got a message, and he's got an audience, and I'd like to share that with my local audience. So that's why I shared your podcast, and here we are.
Yeah, no, I very much appreciate you sharing. It's definitely a passion project as of now, but I think installers nationally here in the US and internationally alike need proper business education. Not only do we need to know how to properly install the floor, and I can totally respect that mission and learning how to install the floor correctly, and we do talk about that stuff on here, but we also need to know how to run a business and be profitable, because if we're going to destroy our bodies for somebody so they can enjoy their home, we need to be able to enjoy the later years in our life after we've destroyed our body. And so they go hand in hand, and I think you're right. There needs to be a conversation from all sides getting involved. This isn't just an American problem. This isn't a UK problem. This isn't a South Africa problem. It's not a New Zealand problem. It's an international problem of unskilled people working in skilled positions.
Yeah.
Doing poor workmanship and taking advantage of people and being taken advantage of by the people paying them. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff to go on and happen. So let's, I know you've got the Plank Squad, and like, what does Flooring Africa focus on the most? From what I've been able to see, you're mostly talking like LVP and laminates. Do you do anything with carpet, hardwood, sheet goods of any kind?
I am a cheap date. I love them all. So I think there's a craft in each of those. We have them all here in South Africa, obviously, and to explore each and every one of them, because so many of our localized installers on this side, they install LVP, they install laminates, they do a little bit of carpet. There are men of many cross-linked skills, and I think as we evolve, we'd love to refine that they can focus on a niche. But I love all the different industries, and I think they're so interrelated, and there's such a cross-pollination that I know they're the dedicated just do wood or just do cementitious or carpet. But I think the platform that I'm trying to create is I want to rally them all together, because a lot of our corporate industry, the importers and distributors, they import and distribute multiple variants. And I need to get their ears and their attention so that we can say, hey, how can we have a conversation? How can we invest in training, education, and all that other kind of thing? So, no, I'm not just stuck to LVPs or laminates. It's definitely high-end decking, everything.
Got it. Love it. So a wide range of things we're trying to bring in and get educated on. What are the biggest problems you're seeing over there?
Same problems you've got. Price wars, uneducated people trying to get into the industry, like they steal with their eyes kind of thing. Watch somebody, oh, that's easy, I can do that. And then they go and they sell themselves off to our mutual consumers and they trash floors. Also, it's education and the conversation around education and where you can rally people who are passionate about what they're doing. It's not just about the bottom dollar. It's about the short-term, medium-term, and long-term game.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's multiple things to educate the market on, and that's educate from the importer distributor side as well. Because South Africa is not as refined as first world countries with regards to the import and distribution. Anybody who's got a couple of bucks together thinks that they can go and import a container of product and present themselves to the very competitive market. And, the consumer always ends up having to pay the price where floors fail left, right, and center. So it's quite complicated in that we need to have a conversation on many different levels.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it starts with rallying passionate people and pulling them all together and sitting around that table and saying, okay, well, what's the first thing that we can actually do? So we've got a lot of, unschooled labor who need schooling, who are desperate and eager and so clever, like the brains are just like sponges kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they need opportunities. But we don't even have formal education for flooring education institutions here. We've got, like an association, but very small and very much all the big boys who are a part of it. But the actual informal economy, none of the guys are involved. And that's where the big volume of work gets done. So what I try and do at Flooring Africa is that I'm this crazy fool who has a bit of a conversation, YouTube videos and Instagram and Facebook, etc. But it's always about saying like, well, where's your principle? What's your guiding principle on what you want to do and what you want to be and what you want to represent? And if you align with that, like as in the plank squad, then, let's rally together and let's see if we can actually make a difference.
Okay.
And it's still, it's early days, definitely. And it's tough times, COVID and South Africa recession, and, we're going through our own changes. Mm-hmm. But, it is about starting somewhere.
Otherwise
nothing gets done.
Correct. Someone's got to have the voice that doesn't quit and people will rally around it. And so I can totally respect that. The Facebook groups that we have here in America and, internationally, there's guys that are in, there's Facebook groups for the New Zealand guy that I found. And we have tons of Facebook groups in the US and there's international ones. And there was bulletin boards and, things like that in the past on the internet that guys were participating in and forum groups, things like that. I think the social media thing, though, has really brought a difference to people who are truly passionate in that we're able to go and connect instantly with people from all across the country. And so do you have anything like that you're working on so that you can get more guys connected in a clique instead of maybe just being connected in their local town where it may be hard to find somebody else that truly feels as strongly about flooring as them?
Well, I can say that, we're still at our early days, but like what we're trying to do is we're trying to build an online community within our platform. And also we've got opportunity to really unlock an online education platform as well. So modularized courses as such. Because you've got to remember here in South Africa or third world countries, access to travel to get to a training destination, and also that enthusiastic youngster or person who wants to get involved in the industry doesn't necessarily have funds or resources to get themselves through the door. Mm-hmm. So you've got to kind of like, I don't know, reach out a hand and like help them and say, well, if you're willing to step up and maybe do a couple of free courses or whatever, and you get decent marks, then what we can do is we can have a one-on-one conversation, and then we can help connect you with maybe the right sponsor to further your education. I know that there's a lot of talk internationally about how, online education, I know with COVID, it's obviously accelerating at a high rate of knots, but a lot of the professional installers are quite hesitant about it and saying, well, you're going to dilute the market, and if you get too many fitters, then it's a price war. But I think this is also what I've heard on your podcast, is that internationally, if somebody's got the skill of doing the job right, and he's working on his network, and he's working on being consistent, the work is always going to come through to him, and he is going to be able to pay the right price because he gets it installed right the first time. It's not about bodging the job just because you're slicing and dicing on the price, and then it fails, a couple of months or years down the line. If you do it right correctly, then there's value in that. And while there's always going to be those chasing bottom dollar pricing, and that's fine, people can, fight that out on that sector. I think for skilled trade and people with passion, the work will come.
I agree. You got to know your market, and you got to know your worth. And so not every project is for me. I get calls all the time, and I'm told I'm expensive, and I leave it at that. Sometimes,
but isn't that beautiful? When you can,
it is.
You can turn down a job and say, "Sorry, that's not for me," because then you're being a laser beam and you're saying, "This is where I draw the line. I'm not prepared to go in and drop by $1 or whatever to do that job because I know I'm going to be pressured to get in and out as quickly as possible. I'm not going to be able to give it the right attention, or I'm going to start swapping out product for cheaper product, which maybe won't service it as well." There's a beauty in being able to turn work away, or being able to say, listen, this is what I do, and actually stick to your guns. If I can just digress, I've got one of my favorite installers here in the Western Cape, and he's got that kind of mindset that he's prepared to actually walk away from work, but when he commits to a job, he does it to the nth degree and really puts, delivers on the timing schedule, but really puts attention to detail and customer centric. And it was doing lots of sand and sealed, and doing a lot of solid install and engineered install and coatings and refinishings and staircases. And that's where he was making more and more of his money, and also where he is having a lot more fun and enjoyment within the job. And the sand and seal, he's just oh man, when you have to go into somebody else's old house or commercial space and you got to help clear away all the furniture, etc. He's I don't want to do that. So he kept on upping his rate. And what happened is that the work didn't peter off; it just kept on coming.
Correct.
Because when the clientele who can afford the engineered and the solid timber, they were all talking amongst themselves, and they were saying, well, this guy really gives us great service. He really delivers on the end product. He is really, he's the one you want. You want to secure him. So they were talking in their circles, and what happened is that people was I don't mind if I actually pay the price and a half. I know that he's going to come into my home. He's going to do it to the nth degree. He's really going to deliver, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's like when you buy a decent car, a proper car, you're not going to go and take it around to the corner store mechanic to service it. You're going to take it to the proper guys who understand what that vehicle, that investment requires. And it's that kind of mindset. And that's always stuck to me. And I think that even somebody who's doing laminates and LVTs, etc., if there's attention to detail and passion, the work and the word of mouth and the network, it will turn over and it'll come back. And you won't be asking, you won't be begging for work. That's for sure.
In the past 2.5 years, that's what I've been able to do. Is you can go out and be passionate about what you're doing, and charge a slight premium on it, and people respect that. They're willing to pay because they know at the end of the day you're going to give them the best product possible. And so being able to encourage that in guys and build them up and get them to that level is such an important message, because most of them, they don't even know. They think they have to race to the bottom. They think they have to undercut the next guy. They think that they have to land every job. And that's not the case, you know?
It's a slippery slope when you keep on sloughing off margin just to try and get the job. And you keep on going in lower and lower because, you know, there's always somebody who's more desperate than you to get the work. Yep. And when that price, and when the especially like the project managers and the construction companies, and they know that, hey, well, he's prepared to go to this price for this job, well, maybe he's going to do it for the next job and the next job. And it's very hard to claw it back up once people have gotten a taste of where the price is at. Correct. And here in South Africa, obviously, we've got a lot of poverty, we've got a lot of desperate people, and people are prepared to, do it for almost nothing. A huge percentage of our population has nothing. They are the labor force. And so you can just take your scenario in the United States and you can say, well, in Africa, it gets, just times that by 10, times that by 100, and it's desperation. So, this is where we definitely want to get the message across that if you really pay attention to the detail and you really deliver on the quality, and also in the business, invoicing, being customer-centric, arriving on time, all of those components, that then you have the opportunity to actually charge more or really earn a greater return on your time, on that timeline of your needs. As you were saying, when your body gives up, there's only so many hours that you can actually do this.
Correct.
So make it worthwhile. Put the time in.
No, you got to offer.
It's not just a job. It's not just a quick McDonald's burger. This is like investment in the long game. So yeah, that's a bit about the message of Flooring Africa.
Okay. I just wanted to interject for a minute to let you know that Preferred Flooring is now the exclusive distributor for Stubby flooring tools in the USA. The Stubby Mini Cove and Lino Cove are a must-have in the toolbox if you're a resilient installer. Cove floor covering should be supported by a solid backing, and traditional rollers don't allow you to roll the entire radius of the cove. Stubby rollers feature a dual radius profiled head to ensure full lateral pressure contact during the cove forming. It helps to eliminate the notorious cracks at the cove due to insufficient seating of material to the cove stick. Visit www.preferredflooringmi.com to use coupon code LEARN to get 10% off the Stubby rollers and join Preferred Flooring in setting the standard, one installation at a time. If you want more information, email info@preferredflooringmi.com. So you said that a lot of guys can't travel, obviously with it being a poorer country and whatnot. So they're struggling to get to where they're needing to go. So here, in Phoenix, obviously this is a major metropolitan city. It's one of the top 10 in the U.S. My county alone has 4.5 million people in it. I've got, I don't know, like 8 to 10 distributors, and some of them have multiple locations throughout the entire, 30-mile radius that I could hit. Yeah. What's that? And so the reps for the different products will come in and hold educational classes about their products occasionally. What would that picture look like in South Africa? Like, how far do you have to go to get to the distributor so you can even get product?
Okay, so we don't have lions roaring in our back gardens like a lot of people think.
Maybe on the outskirts, right?
No, you got to drive quite a while to get to the deep dark Africa that you see in the Lion King.
Okay,
but no, so I live here in Cape Town, and we've got a lot of the national imported distributors will have a depot here in the Western Cape, and then they will have maybe 2 or 3 other depots spread around the country. But there are some outlying areas where, you're going to have to travel 500-600 kilometers to get through to a depot. But that's where our national transport, you place your order and it'll arrive within within 2 days or so,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what it is. But a lot of our importer distributors, the educational component is quite limited. So about laminates, or let's use laminates as an example. About, okay, well, mine's got a microbead ceramic scratch coating or whatever. It's got a uniclick, wah wah wah. But there's one thing knowing a little bit about the technical specifications of a product. It's another thing showing the guys how to clad a cementitious staircase, and how far can you run a floor, and how do you do the herringbone laminates, and really engaging in slightly more technical installations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you guys do the kicker boards in the kitchen. So a lot of the time the guys here, they leave the kickers in, and then you just use a quarter round running up to the kicker. And for me, it's so wrong. You want to remove the kicker, run the floor underneath, and then put the kicker back, kind of thing. So it's nice and smooth and seamless. And
No, see,
so
I would agree with you, but I'm going to disagree. It would look nicer, but then you're not going to get those toe kick boards aren't wide enough to cover the expansion gap you need.
yeah, well, so our kitchen, the carcassing, we call it the carcassing, the main ribs of a kitchen unit. The pedestal legs sit at least 100 mil back from the front edge of the
You got
carcassing.
the IKEA
So,
style cabinets. I'm with you. So yeah,
okay.
we have a company that makes they're really cruddy cabinets, but yeah, there's legs, and so they sit pushed back, and then yes, you could do what you're talking about. But most of our cabinets, the cabinet itself sits on the ground, and there's just a toe kick board that goes across the front face where the exposed edge of the cheaper wood that's sitting on the floor would be seen.
Okay.
So there's a definite little bit of a difference there, but yeah, I'm with you. Okay, so no, that makes sense. Run it underneath, make it pretty, take the extra time.
So it's those little things, but also just when you're doing your consult, when the sales rep is doing his consult initially to get the job across the line, is to understand those little nuances of how it'll elevate his installation over maybe a competitor's installation.
Mm-hmm.
And it is about talking through the detail, understanding the technical. A sales rep knows sales speak as such, but they don't necessarily always know about the technical that the installer actually engages with,
Yes.
when he's going through the installation. There's that conversation, that level of technical understanding is not always the same. So, there's a lot of that kind of education that needs to happen. When we have our sales reps, they travel around the province, or they travel up the coast or whatever to come in and call on all of the different retailers. They talk about product. They don't talk about installation. They don't have installation workshops. Installation workshops, it's like Christmas on this side. If somebody's holding an installation workshop where you're going to be able to watch product being installed or demonstrated, or playing with a coating or a system, that's wow, that's like a wild card. You don't get that on the side.
Wow. Okay. We don't
So,
get a lot of installation stuff here. Not generally. A lot of product demo, for sure, but not actual installation. The company's not going to show you how to install their laminate properly.
you talk about product demo. So what is that?
Do you know who Oozine or Shownox or Ardex is?
Yeah.
So they'll come
Yeah, the glues and whatever.
Yeah, glues and self levels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They may come out and actually let you mix up some of their product and pour it on a sample board and see how it works and flattens out and dries, and they'll come out and show you their product, and you will probably get to play with some of it, or they'll play with some of it, and you at least get to see it used so that you can understand why you would choose that product over a different one.
All right, that's an annual event where you get 30 other retailers or competitors invited to the same event.
Okay. See,
So,
they'll come to a distribution warehouse, and then
Yeah.
installers can come. And there may be like, I haven't made any here in Phoenix, but there's some where there's 10, 15, 20, 30 guys there
Yeah.
watching the product demo, but you at least still get the knowledge passed out.
And that's what we need. We need a lot more of that. We need like those working demonstrations to occur. And it's not just the sales rep. Remember, the sales rep, he's like, yeah, you want to use the Uzen, self leveler. But the installer, he has to stay back at the workshop, and he doesn't get to see the stuff played with or understand like, hey, you want to mix this for 5 minutes and let it rest for 60 seconds and then do a final mix or whatever. He doesn't get to see any of that, or very rarely. Okay, it does happen, but it happens very rarely. Mostly it's the sales reps or the store owners who will go and attend like a fancy demonstration or whatever. And that's a part of the message that I'm trying to get across, is that these guys who are actually installing every day, they need to be like, we need to elevate them, that they understand their worth. Because like when we had our little email correspondence prior, these guys are getting like 250, 300 Rand a day as a day rate, and that's if there's work. All right.
Do you know what that converts to US?
Yeah, divided by 17. I don't have a calculator, but like it's nothing. Okay, it really is. It's pittance, and these guys need to understand that their work is being sold exponentially more than that. And if they are able just to understand and grasp their self-worth and actually present themselves neatly and like get themselves like their toolkit together, they can actually really make a difference in their own lives. And, rather than just the retailer and the sales rep getting these strong comms and the margins. The labor component in South Africa, it really is. It needs work. It needs work. And the more we can impart skill and knowledge to the workforce to elevate the game, the better. Sorry, I sound like a bit of a stuck record on that one. But
No. But that's your whole goal. Is you're not stuck. You have an end goal in mind, and that's what needs to be accomplished. And I can really respect that. It reminds me, so I need to get Jane Walker on. She's the wife of a gentleman that founded Certified Flooring Installers.
Yeah.
And essentially, so this happened back in, I want to say, the late, how long have they been around now? I want to say late 70s, early 80s. I may be off on that because I'm not fully informed on them. But essentially, he was a carpet installer, and he got together with some of his buddies, and he was like, hey, like, this isn't right. There's people doing carpet installations all willy-nilly however they want. And he was like, let's get together and like we'll come up with standards and we'll test each other. And so the first group of guys, essentially, they certified each other.
Yeah.
But then they were getting in their cars and driving city to city on weekends when they weren't working and trying to go and get this message out. And it's kind of grown from there. And it sounds like that's kind of what you're needing to do, is you need to get a couple of guys on board that you can have dedicate off time to and get them out kind of holding classes here and there saying, this is how you properly do it. And there's many components. You don't need just the installation component. You need product being demonstrated and talked about, and installation techniques and business techniques. Like you're trying to offer a full school package, which is also something that's lacking here in the States. We don't have trade schools for flooring. They don't exist. Not yet. There's somebody trying to work on one, but who knows
and
what
the
comes of
NWFA?
that. So NWFA is more like, so the National Wood Flooring Association is sort of like the Certified Flooring Installers. They are their own organization, and they, well, you listened to the interview with Michael Barton, but, essentially they're out there lobbying with the government to make certain things happen. And they have members, and they make the guidelines for wood flooring in the states that are generally followed. And then they also offer educational classes, but I can go to a sand and finish class and spend 3 days there, but I'm going to have to travel to St. Louis or California or maybe somewhere on the East Coast of the States So I got to pay for my flight. I got to put myself up in a hotel. I got to pay for the class, and then I also get a
Yeah.
membership for the year out of it. So it's not that there's like a full-time school and I go for weeks on end. The closest thing I know to that is that the Certified Flooring Installers has a 5-week carpet course, so you can send your apprentice there, and when he comes back in 5 weeks, he should be able to know everything there is to know about installing carpet properly.
Yeah, we've got something similar that a company called Belgatex. They're a big carpet manufacturer here in South Africa, and they also starting to export around the world. And basically, they have also like a 6-week. You can apply, put an application in to send your crew there, and you pay for them, you pay the rates, and the same thing. They'll come back and there'll be a middle skilled kind of carpet installer as such.
Yeah.
But this is such a small project or association, and it's only just gotten started on this side. But there's nothing happening in the rest of the industry. And Belgatex is very much also, they look after their own. They're a beautiful, big, strong marketing, production corporate company kind of thing. But there is so much work, and there was such a huge volume of installers or aspirant installers or fudging installers on this side. And the conversation, if you're trying to do it eyeball to eyeball, you're going to be on the road your entire life. And that's where I feel that like the conversation or the way to start it, the first step needs to be digital. We need to find out who is the person who is willing to make themselves uncomfortable and go online and just scratch around. And are they willing to put themselves out there and answer a couple of questions, maybe do a little online course or whatever. They'll take them an hour or two. And if they chase it, because the thing is, like, if you give somebody something for free, they don't really value it, or it's like, oh yeah, okay, or whatever. But as soon as somebody pays for it, then they value it a whole lot more.
Yes.
And so, like, if you get somebody to really chase something and they have to sweat for it, okay, then they're going to value it a whole lot more. And if you, as the service provider, are able to identify the people who are passionate and willing to sweat for it, then you can actually pull them out and really give them a really focused education lift within the industry through getting, corporate sponsorships and programs and whatever, or even providing them with jobs, et cetera, et cetera. But, we have such a huge population, like 58.8 million people, all right? Yet such a small percentage of our population actually has money. Majority of that is below the poverty line. So you got to think of, like, you got mass people, and now you got to try and find out who's the motivated guy or gal who is now going to get into our industry. They can't travel, like you were saying, they can't travel across state to go and attend a course because they want to elevate themselves, because they don't have the money, they don't have the infrastructure. They're living in a tin shack, that's getting blown down every winter. So yeah, our dynamic is quite interesting. But yeah, it's about how we find these diamonds in and amongst this mass, and actually let them help us. Because, like the way I think of it is that if I can start a crowd, and find a couple of people who can really show the way, or we can also refine the methodology. Because, at the moment, I'm just a strange guy who's passionate about flooring and doing a bit of a song and dance digitally. But I needed to rally a crew where we can actually formalize this and take it to the next level. And we need those people that we can help and say, well, here's Bob. Bob didn't have anything. He showed an interest. He showed passion. He sweated. And now look at him now. Now he's got his own little business. He's got his own van. He's getting his own, work in. He's got a digital presence. And Bob is the example. Everybody follow Bob.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, because you're right. In the situation that you're in, I think going the digital route and trying to get people to step up and stand out is
What's the starting
is
point?
the way to go. It's amazing because here in the States, like we are generally pretty privileged, and yes, there's poverty and there's broke people and there's people that are struggling to, paycheck to paycheck, but our level of struggling paycheck to paycheck is probably nothing like yours in South Africa. So when the materials are there for them to get educated and they still refuse, that's what I find amazing. Like, it sounds like you probably would have a bunch of guys that are pretty hungry and eager to get to this if they could.
Yes, but remember, we also have those that, if they've got their, let's call it, I don't know, $150 a month to live on. All right. And if they just guarantee their $150 a month to live on, they will just carry on with that.
Yeah.
Because you kind of become complacent and familiar with that level.
Correct.
Which
and
is
you're,
very sad.
yeah. Well, and you're going to find that, look, you find that here.
You're going to find it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. You're not
That's why I said we
everyone's
need to find
supposed
those diamonds.
Yes, not everyone's supposed to work at the top of the market. There's actually, if you go way, way back, there's a really good episode of the podcast with Scott Zito I called Attacking the Top. And we kind of get into talking about how, I'm personally not aiming to work in the middle of the market or, the bottom of the market. I'm aiming to work at the top 5% of the market. That's where I want to be. And those are the guys you're looking for, is the ones that want to compete at the top, do the best work, provide the quality, take a little bit longer, charge a little more. Those are the guys you're looking for to step out. Not that you're not willing to give the information to anybody willing to come and get it, but ultimately the guys that will do the best are the ones looking to be at the top. So but
they can charge those rates because they've got the school fees and their hands are programmed on how to extract the best flaws in their craft.
Yes.
The proof is in the historic, in what they've done to get there. And I absolutely, that's what I love as well. Top 5% on for these floors going down. Absolutely, that's where I want to be. I resonate with that strongly. But for me to help and say, I've got all this knowledge in my historic, in my head, and to be able to actually pass it back and say, well, Bob, if you learn this and you apply the knowledge, you can also come and play up in the top 5% as well. And for me, my personal mission is to say, okay, fine, well, how can I share this knowledge somehow? How can I align with Kyle in US and somebody in Europe and say, okay, fine, well, how can I create an audience, create a vibe or a presence and an audience that we can leverage, and I can get corporate to actually help pass this information down? Because it's the guy who takes that information, because the World Wide Web, all the information's there already, you just need to sift through it. And it's the guy who actually applies it, and it becomes second nature on how he can walk into a floor with his spidey sense, feel the floor and understand, oh, we've got a problem here, we need to do this, we need to do that. It's that knowledge that just is there, that expertise. And how we can actually pass it behind us. Because I think, like in the US, you've got a problem with regards to trying to encourage more people to get involved in trades. Is that true?
Yes. There's supposedly the statistics are that, most installers are age 50 and above. There's very little under that. The majority of them are aging out, and then finding a youngster that's 18, 19, 20, 25 years old to come and get into the industry, they've essentially got no interest in doing it because they have to work hard and there's no money. And that's not the case. Yes, it's hard work, but there is plenty of money when it's done correctly.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that, like, if you're paying bottom dollar for a pricing war on product, if you pay peanuts, you're going to get monkeys. But if you actually strive and get off the couch and actually deliver quality, that's where you're really going to start raking in a decent wage.
Well, and it's like you said towards the beginning, was that there's a lot of guys out there just kind of hacking it together. They're going to bid themselves to the bottom, and that's essentially what's happened here over time. Is the way I've started explaining it to my clients lately is, look, any flooring you have in your home is a luxury item, even if it's carpet. Having a dirt floor is still very popular throughout this world, and it holds up just fine. You don't need carpet. You don't need linoleum. You don't need tile. You definitely don't need travertine or something like that. These are all luxury items.
Yeah.
And so there should be a cost associated with getting these. The fact that someone's out there doing it for $1 a square foot versus my $2.25, well, what are they providing you with that? Here's what I provide. And so I can go through and put value on why I am more expensive. And I think that's the ticket, is getting that information and how do they value themselves. Is there any like licensing boards out there, or can you just pick up a hammer and a tapping block? Yeah, well, that's what I figured. Like a guy can get a hammer and a tapping block and go to town and call himself an installer, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's what I said earlier on, when people can steal with their eyes. Mm-hmm. Remember, these guys, the guys on the side of the road, they're hungry. They haven't eaten in a day or two. And like you go and you pull them into the back of your van because you need somebody to sweep a room or whatever. And now he's busy watching your fitters clanks together or throwing down a little bit of glue or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he works with you for a week. And now all of a sudden, he's motivated.
Right, because he cannot eat for a day or two and go buy the tools, and now he gets to make a little bit of the money. Got it.
And he doesn't understand the product. He doesn't understand the science. So he'll go and he will throw down a floor or two. Maybe he'll get lucky and it'll be 3. And then something will go wrong. But if something goes wrong, he's gone. Mm-hmm. You're never going to find him.
All the time, yeah.
Okay, and it's even easier to lose them in South Africa. They're gone. But the thing is that then they just go knock on another retailer's door around the block, and they say, "Hey, I can install." And now all of a sudden, he's installing for another retailer or for another client or for another builder. Mm-hmm. And so this is the same story world over.
Yes.
But it's just a little bit harder to find them here in Africa once they've screwed up your floor. But the thing is that if we can educate the repeat buyer or the project manager, construction, or the consumer can have access to information to say, listen, you can hire what we call a bucky or a pickup. We call a pickup it's called a bucky here in South Africa. So you say a bucky brigade installer. You can hire a bucky brigade installer. All right. And then, if it goes wrong, it's on you.
Yep.
Or you can hire a proper installer, and here's your checklist, and he's going to deliver to the specification, to this quality control. He's going to safeguard your floor. Because people think, great, I'm going to save a couple of dollars on the installation.
Yeah.
And they put their entire product at risk.
Yep.
And it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Like you put your entire, the product costs a lot of money. You start adding it all up, and now you put everything at risk, plus the reinstallation or uplifting kickerboards and all sorts, just because you want to save a couple of dollars on the installation. That's you're only as strong as your weakest link when it comes to the chain of events.
Well, and
but people don't learn.
Yeah,
people don't learn.
It's never made sense to me because people don't realize how much they use their floor. You get your house painted, great. That's fine. My kids don't know how to keep their hands off the walls. But correct, my kids touch them all the time, but that's a different story. I'm not touching my walls. My cabinets go in, and yes, I use them, but I don't use them as much as my floor. I'm always on it. My furniture's always on it. Why are you, of all the things in your house to skimp on, why is it always the floor? It's mind-boggling.
No, absolutely. People go and say, hey, we want to throw down a LVT or SVC or a laminate or engineered or whatever, and you don't want to properly screed the floors. So here in South Africa, we have most of our floors are cementitious.
Yep.
So they're cast. I know you do a lot of timber frame or you have suspended floors on your side. But for us, it's cast slabs. And generally, these need a skim coat over the top just to flatten them out. Mm-hmm. So many installers, clients, they don't, as soon as they start seeing the bags of screed racking up on a quote, they say, no, don't worry, just install on top of the existing slab. We'll take our chances.
Yeah. Nope.
And it's just like, okay, well, I don't want you to walk on the floor until I'm down. You've paid me, and I'm at the bottom of the road.
Yeah, exactly. That's
you just don't understand.
correct. That's my market. Everything here in Phoenix, for the most part, is cement slab, and so I go through that all the time. I'm like, look, you have carpet over it, you have this, that, the other thing. I can't see anything.
You don't see it.
I can't bid this until I can see it, and when we get to that point, I have to fix it. Otherwise, we cannot install your floor. And they're like, okay, well, what's that cost? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't see your floor. Like, I don't know if it's going to be a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 or tens of thousands. There's no answer until I see it. So I get it.
And coming back to Flooring Africa, we also try and get ourselves in front of architect specifiers and, the consumer that's looking and exploring, digitally. Mm-hmm. And we try and say, it's just like, get the information. Here, we're trying to help you, we're trying to present information to help you make the best informed decision. So I think when we come back to like what Flooring Africa also tries to do is like we're trying to hold that space that the professional trade or the consumer that is seeking to safeguard their investment, that they can also come through to us and they can access various levels of information where they can say, hey, well, if I scrimp on the screed, this is what potentially could happen to my floor. Mm-hmm. As well as the installers being able to come through an informal educational of being exposed to the media where they can say, hey, I actually didn't know that. If you paper up the windows when they're installing glue down LVT, dryback, because like we have single, mostly it's single glazing. There's not too much double or triple. Mm-hmm. And also we have floor to ceiling big sliding doors, so that face majority it's north facing for us, but where they get majority of the sun. Yeah. And you just think these guys are busy installing this product, and as the sun falls across the floor and you're hitting 25, 30 degrees outside, and now that's hitting your LVTs as you're busy installing. Mm-hmm. It's growing before your eyes. So everything's getting compromised. So just like on site control of like close it up, paper up the windows, get the temperature right, acclimate the product, install, make sure the glue's gone off 100% before you start trying to expose this floor to fluctuating temperature. And guys don't know this. It's like nobody's sharing the knowledge. We have no one in South Africa that's actually sharing this knowledge. So, we have a couple of fun videos or we, do articles or whatever. And we want to get more into that space where we can say, hey, Mr. Architect, when you get your LVT guys to come in and put down their 300 square meters, like maybe this is just your little quiet checklist that you need to, if you're on site, or get your project manager just to double check that they're actually, following these rules. Because, if you don't manage the site, the floor might look great for the first, couple of weeks or whatever, but it goes through the first proper heat cycle. Those headers are just going to start opening up, it's going to start lifting off the floor, whatever, there's going to be problems. And, we all know trying to go in afterwards and lifting up a floor and putting a new floor down or trying to correct, it's expensive. Yes. And it just wastes so much time.
Yep.
And it's just like, we want to hold that space where we can maybe sometimes a little bit of a fun and a tongue-in-cheek kind of way, but we can have and create content that is, we call it edutainment. So it's educational, but it's also entertainment, of where you can be exposed to something that's going to be of value that you can actually take home and think, okay, well, I didn't know that about that previously, and let's see how we can apply that. That's another little thing with regards to what Flooring Africa would like to do in holding this space. And I think the more we can connect with the international world and share resources, because you guys are so far ahead of us, it's just not true. We can get some of your information and your expertise and just try and maybe filter it into our flooring industry locally, I think that'd be absolutely awesome.
Well, and we may have better technologies and access to information, but there's guys over there that are doing things with products that we would never think of, I'm sure. And so there's information to exchange both ways. I'm sure there's some really absolutely amazing craftsmen over there that are just killing it with designs, and maybe they're cutting 5, 6, 7, 8 different colors of LVP up and gluing it into mosaics and stuff. I don't know, but
no, unfortunately, like I watch these guys. Who's these guys at the moment? Floored-U-Cation, and they've got their trims.
Yep.
Absolutely lovely product. I've actually got some sample product in my workshop at the moment, but I'm trying to get them into the country. But just like such a functional system that just really works. I appreciate what they've done and the time that they've invested in bringing that product to market. But I watch these guys with Amtico, and there's a couple of other UK brands where they're doing all of this. Like I think you guys do it as well, where you do LVTs or LVPs, and you do a perimeter edging.
Yeah,
we don't do that. We don't know how to do that.
Okay. I don't know how to do it either because I don't do any glue down vinyl. I am strictly a click person and some engineered hardwood, but I get the theory. You measure out a border and you glue it in, and then you have everything meet up to it. Or you could go the other way and you would use a track saw to cut off all the ends and make something square. But no, I get it. There's tons of obvious. Okay, so there's room for improvement and really hitting high level stuff. You don't have to just lay it straight.
Yeah, but just being open to, like, everybody just lays planks the normal way on this side. We're not really even mixing up different colors. So, remember, we're like straight out of kindergarten here. We're still learning, and anything that we bring in, it's through watching YouTube videos or whatever. It's like we don't have a developed market. Okay. You guys have a lot more exposure to developed market. And also with regards to like Europe, what's happening in Europe and New Zealand, Australia. So where I can try and leverage with the international community, it would be my dream if I could actually pull in installers from around the world who would come in for a week and do like workshops. But just from holding workshops like that transfer of skills is absolutely exponentially beneficial to our industry. It would accelerate our industry hugely, absolutely hugely.
Well, I could use a nice trip to South Africa. So I was going to say, we're pretty close to our time limit as is, and that sucks because I'm totally having fun with this. But I was going to say, I would love to come over and give away some knowledge. I'm sure I could find some other installers that would be on board. I think I could talk to some people I know with companies. Are you talking with John Rain of Stair Rods personally, or did you just reach out and get the samples?
No, John Rain actually reached out to me. Okay. We haven't had an ongoing conversation, but next minute they were rocking up at our premises. But I think this year is pretty screwed with regards to COVID, but coming in 2021, if I could leverage a little bit of corporate support and pull in, even that gentleman from New Zealand as well, he seems like you guys had a really good vibe, and just bringing in a couple of really engaged and switched on people from around the world and holding a little bit of a workshop, I think, we could always introduce you to a lion or a hippo or whatever. That's quite easy. But a skills exchange would be, wow. That would be awesome.
That gets me excited. And honestly, I don't think we would be putting anything together in the next 6 months anyways. I think this would be something that we would be scheduling for a year out. So that's plenty of time. I think there's room for it, and this gets the message out there. And I don't know a lot of people really well, but I'm starting to make some connections, and I would be happy to reach out and try and facilitate that conversation, because as much as we need it in America, if that's a growing market, why would you not want to be one of the first corporations in there, being the one to give the information away so that you're going to get the business? Like it goes hand in hand. Not only are you going to make your country better and the installers better there, but if you're the one giving that stuff away, you will build brand loyalty, and so you get it paid back on the back end. So it's a little give and take. But I think there's something that could be made of that, and I think I know some installers that would probably be interested in being able to participate in something like that.
No. I'd love to continue that conversation after this podcast for sure. But what I can say, just from my side, is that I love scratching around the global digital footprint of LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, and Instagram, etc. And your podcast really came across my computer, and the conversations that you're holding are real conversations. And I really resonated as a passionate flooring individual who started his career on his knees and worked his way through, kind of thing. Your podcast has real value, and anything that we can do to support you going forward, we're going to be sharing the heck out of your podcast. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Because they're important. They really are important.
No, that means a lot to me. Thank you. What I'll say is you've got to check out, if you haven't heard Tile Money with Luke Miller,
okay,
listen to that podcast, because he was doing it a little bit before me, and he's doing the same thing. He's tile though. And so they always talk tile, but the business principles are the same. The education principles are the same. He's really killing it over there. There's Floored-U. The NWFA makes a podcast now. Bona is a bigger wood flooring brand here. They have a couple guys making a podcast. There's there's Hud's Tiling in the UK that has an Instagram. He's always putting out content. He's got it's something like over 100,000 followers on Instagram for a tiler. Like it's pretty crazy.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
The component that I love the most is that it's not corporate-y. Like, we're installers.
Mm-hmm.
The U's and the I's. We're installers, and we're talking shop, and we're talking about our various respective industries. That's the beauty of it, and that's what I really resonated to. It's not like a corporate discussion about shareholder and movement, and it's gritty. So
it is.
Yeah, I'll definitely go and check out those other ones as well.
Some people want the shareholder information, and that's gritty for them. And look, we just got a different kind of gritty, and it needs to be put out there. That's what it comes down to. Is this information needs to be shared, and there's a way to do it easily now. You couldn't get this information this easily 40 years ago, 30 years ago. Podcasts are really something in the last decade, and they're only continuing to grow. And so when I went looking for the information, because I started listening to podcasts, it wasn't there, or at least I couldn't find it. And so I was like, well, I can do that. That's fine. I can sit in front of a microphone. I'll figure it out. And so here it is. And you're doing the same thing. There isn't an organization in South Africa doing what you want. And you were like, oh, it needs to be created. Well, I'll be the guy. So somebody has to be the guy.
Somebody's got to be that guy.
Exactly. Somebody has to take that first leap, and you keep shouting and you keep shouting, and someone's going to come in behind you and help lift you up. So we will all get to our destination. Barry, I really respect what you're trying to do. I think it's very admirable. I love the mission. Obviously, like you said, our missions align. Is there, besides, you have Flooring Africa. So where can we find Flooring Africa? Because that's something we never touched on. So where can we locate you across all platforms?
All right. So we've got flooringafrica.com. You can go and check us out over there. And if you want to be part of the Thanks Squad, you can go and sign up for free. And basically, obviously, we're still just emerging. And it's about creating a unity and a platform where fellow flooring industry can support up-and-coming flooring industry. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done there, so please don't judge us. And then, obviously, there is the Flooring Africa YouTube channel. Now, obviously, a lot of our corporate industry, they love getting exposure and product reviews and getting scratches kind of thing. So the more we can build up our YouTube channel, the better. I think we're just hitting over 500 subscribers at the moment, so it's quite new. But if anybody who's interested or wants to support, please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Flooring Africa. And I think generally just whoever's listening, just aspire to do the best job you can. That's what's going to define you from the crowd. Really just delivering quality work, doing it passionately, and being customer centric while you do it. That's a key definer, and that's what I love. When I see online and I go and see passionate people doing work that they love, it's a happy place.
Love it.
Thank you, Carl.
Is there a forum built into Flooring Africa? Is there like a back side to the webpage where there's a forum and you're in the plank squad and you can interact with people?
We did have that initially. We're kind of like just putting that on the back burner for now. There's a lot of infrastructure and investment that needs to go into the platform. So our main focus at the moment is about creating an audience on the existing familiar platforms as such, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, YouTube being our priority. And then what we're doing in the background is we're creating a mobile phone e-learning platform.
Okay.
And we're busy creating the online courses. So initially, some of them are for free. The guys, if everyone's got a cell phone nowadays, you can be the deepest, darkest Africa and you'll have a cell phone. So that's our modus operandi, is to create little courses that you can actually just watch on your phone. So we're busy developing and building that in the background and creating those courses. And the more corporate support we can get, the better. And the way that we get the corporate support is through giving them airtime and exposure and talking about their products.
Yeah.
But talking about their products from I'm not going to say gee whiz, your product's fantastic and it's the biggest load of, out there. It's calling a spade and say, hey, this is a budget-orientated product. Understand what it is, and if you install it right, you're going to get great value out of it. But understand it's not going to be a Mercedes-Benz or a Ferrari.
Correct.
And I think it's about having that honest conversation.
Okay. And so there's no Flooring Africa group. Are there any like South Africa flooring Facebook groups that you know of that maybe some of the installers from America could get involved in and start talking about standards and showing pictures of work we're doing, and we could get a conversation going that way?
No, not as yet. But it is on the cards, and we can put one together fairly quickly. But maybe that can be we can let that information out on our second podcast. How about that
one? Okay, because I know, look, I can get there's a bunch of guys that would probably jump on that opportunity to get. Look, we're in 10, 20 flooring groups as it is. What's one more? And then to be able to interact with a international community and really start exchanging some ideas, that may get some guys excited. So I'll throw that one out there at you. And I don't know what the access to Facebook. Everyone has a cell phone, but does everybody have a smartphone to be able to get on Facebook and in the groups and find the information? So.
No, for sure. It's just that what we have at the moment is that obviously there's quite a language and education disparity. So we need to really pull our starting point back quite a bit. So it's really quite basic, and then build it up from there. Unfortunately, a lot of our informal workers don't even have a school education, or it's a very basic school education. So what we want to do is we're trying to build the platform and the basic skeletal foundation of the platform, and then we'll start packing it in with the various extra elements of how to properly engage. I think initially it is about us building momentum so that we can actually create the platform, and then actually get physical training workshops together, because somebody can come in from the middle of a township or from an existing team, and they can steal with their eyes the correct methodology.
Yes.
So you got to understand that our where we deliver the information needs to be quite basic, and then we build it up from basic. So I think a lot of your network will already be quite developed. and so that I'm cautious to start something that I can't control as yet or manage as yet.
No, it makes sense. No, that's fine. I totally get it. I really do. You want to take it one step at a time, nice and easy, have a plan, and you're going to execute on that. You don't want to get ahead and then have it fall apart. You want to make sure that there's a stable foundation to grow off of, and I can respect that. So let's stay in touch. Let's keep this conversation going, and I'm excited, man. I want to see what you're developing, and if you're going to have installers out, I want to come. I really do. Even if it's on my own dime, like, I want to come and find a way to make that happen, because I think that would just be an exciting experience.
I think that's that's where we're going to get the biggest burst of growth within our industry, is to actually get those workshops happening. So I'll be excited to get those off the ground.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Barry. Enjoy your evening. I'm going to get to the rest of my day, and these time differences always baffle me.
So. No problem. I appreciate this opportunity, and you go well.
Yep, you too. Cheers. That's all the time we have for this week. To keep the conversation going, head on over to the Floor-U-Academy Facebook group. Be sure to subscribe so you can hear each and every episode. We can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and most major podcast directories. Don't forget to check out the show notes and click on the link for Stubby Tools. Remember, code LEARN will get you 10% off from Preferred Flooring, the exclusive distributor of Stubby Flooring Tools. Don't forget to leave a review and let us know what you think about the show. If you would like to be a guest, have questions or feedback, you can email us at flooracademypodcast@gmail.com. You can help support the show by becoming a patron over at www.patreon.com/flooracademy. Remember to learn well you earn.